Hey y'all, welcome back to Tierra Diaries. This is Timmy, and today I'm going to be showing you how I get the most out of my candles. Because we go through them so often, and Sierra really likes the Bath & Body Works, and you know that stuff is expensive. So to start off, we're just going to be taking an empty Bath & Body Works container. I like these the best, because you know you can get that 3-wick action. I have some leftover candle here. Then we're also going to be needing some candle wicks. I got these short pre-waxed ones. Well, that's just because that was all they had at Michael's. I really wanted slightly taller ones, but this will do for now. And then you want to grab a pot because we're going to be melting down the candle wax. So to start, we're going to turn on our stove, of course. Put your pot on and then fill it with water. I'm using a relatively small pot because I don't need anything bigger than that. If you want to do multiple at once, you can definitely do that with a bigger pot. Totally fine, just add more water. So once I give it a couple of seconds to actually heat up a bit, I'm going to put my container in. This is the one that I want to use to like pour my wax into to make the nude candle. We do the double boil, and that's just because if the glass gets too hot, it can explode. So this kind of just keeps the glass from exploding because it evenly separates the heat throughout with the water. So it took me a couple of tries to actually get the candle container out of the water. You'll see that I eventually just took a spoon and kind of propped up the bottom. And that's because the jar itself will get hot. Now that I have my container out of the water, you're going to see here that I just kind of popped up the sides with a spoon. I take the whole chunk out and just put it into a separate bowl. You can just melt it all the way down and just kind of pour the wax out. But this was just a little bit easier because I'm just trying to save all the excess to make another candle with. I'm also going to scrape out the extra wick ends. You want to get rid of those. You don't want them lingering in your wax. We're going to be replacing those with the new wicks. As I said earlier, I got these little short ones. They'll fit in the container, but if you want to make it a little bit easier on yourself with actually placing the wax and getting it straight up, you want to go a little bit taller than your actual jar. So I'm just going to make sure that the jar is kind of clean. I do want a little bit of the wax in there. It kind of helps you get stuck to the bottom so you can kind of like place where you want it. I'm going to go ahead and use these clothesline clips. I'm just going to clip them to the end. This makes it a little bit easier to place them because they are so short. So now that the wax has been heated up, I'm just going to go ahead and take the wicks and stick it on in. And this will help to keep its place and kind of keep it a little bit straighter and less like crooked off to the side. You're going to see that I do mess this up because I am very impatient. Please have more patience than me. The wax needs to solidify all the way to keep it in place, and you need to be very gentle with this. So as you can see here, I kind of ended up popping out one of the wicks. It's alright, we can replace that. You just kind of have to hold it there longer now, and then you need to pour the wax on top so it actually stays. I also did I kind of stuck the metal part of the wick into fire on the stove to melt down the wax underneath it a little bit. I don't recommend this for the most part because you can end up just melting the wax off of the actual wick. So you do need the wax that's on the wick because wick itself is just like cotton thread. When you wax it, that is what actually allows it to burn for a longer time. So while I was prepping everything for the candle, you know, putting in the wicks and all that good stuff, I had my excess or some of my excess candle wax off to the side melting down. And then you're going to see here that I'm going to go ahead and pour it on in. And then I'm actually going to just let it sit for a little bit and solidify. And then I'm going to go ahead and melt the rest of it down and then put that in to make the full candle. So while my other candle is hardening up, I'm actually going to take the little bit that's left from this one other candle. It's a pear Riesling scented candle, also from Bath & Body Works, because that's where we get most of our candles. So we're just going to melt it down enough that I can pry out the bottom once again. Oh, this time I tried like a slightly different wax removal where I just took boiling water, poured it in, and let it kind of like melt and loosen it on the bottom. It works. It's fine. Not my favorite, but I thought I would just try it. So now that I have the bulk of the wax, I'm going to go ahead and remove the old wicks. I just like to take my spoon, have it a little bit heated from like boiling water or whatever, and then I just run it across the back and kind of melt the wax down, and then it'll make it a little bit easier to just pop out. Now that I have everything out of the wax, I'm just going to go ahead and poke the extra wicks on through that one, and then through the excess from the other candle, fallen leaves, I believe it was. And I'm just going to pop it into the leftover jar, and then just kind of store them all together, and then once I have enough, I can just make a weird like mishmash candle that will just burn different scents as it goes down. So there is a little bit of excess wax in this container that I was holding the pieces in, so I'm just gonna melt that down in the microwave and then pour it on in to kind of fill in the edges a bit. Here we go. This is the final product. So I actually still have a little bit of candle wax left over, which I will probably use, but there's just a little bit left, and now we have a whole new candle. Hope you guys enjoyed. Bye!